Have you ever given much thought to what separates the truly outstanding salesperson from the good salespeople out there? Well, Matthew Dixon and Brent Adamson had that problem they wanted to go ahead and solve. So they conducted a study where they looked at over 6,000 salespeople across over 100 companies and a variety of different industries. And the results of their study boiled down to roughly, or not roughly, 5 archetypes of salespeople. They reported that in a book they wrote called The Challenger Sale, which is one of my favorite of all time audiobooks on sales. So I would like to talk to you about those 5 archetypes. And I personally, I'd be happy with any one of them, but one of them is definitely the cream of the crop. The first one is the relationship builder. The relationship builder, you know that person. They're very good at creating a personal relationship with a client as well as a professional relationship. They might take them out to sporting events. They might have beers with them after work, those kind of things. This is generally what most sales books talk about when they talk about what's required to be a great salesperson, is building those relationships and the rapport with the customer and those kind of things. Unfortunately, in their study, this actually produced the worst performing of the 5 archetypes. Number 2 on their list, going from worst to best, was the hard worker. We all know those kind of these. Is the person that goes in early, out hustles everybody, stays late, goes the extra mile, makes more phone calls than any other person in the office. I would be happy to have somebody like that, but turns out they didn't turn out to be the highest performing salespeople either. Had the lone wolf was the 3rd one in that list. Now we all know those types of people, incredibly self-confident, definitely rule breakers. They run on gut feel and instincts. They don't follow any rules. Very, very hard to manage. They probably would get fired if it wasn't for the fact that they actually produced some level of results, and they were the 3rd on that particular list. Number 4 on that list was the reactive sales archetype. Now, we know that kind of, this is a person that's incredibly good at problem solving. They respond to every customer's needs almost immediately. They're incredibly detailed oriented. They address every need pronto. They do post-sales follow-ups. They do all kinds of things. Well, reactive people, turned out that they were not, in fact, the top performing salespeople in those organizations that they tested. The one that did, in fact, lead by a very wide margin is what they call the challenger sales archetype. This is a person who works tirelessly to understand not only the customer's industry, but in fact the nuances of that customer's business. That challenger sales archetype is not afraid of challenging the customer. In fact, that the reason they call it the challenger archetype is because that salesperson is more likely to challenge or question the customer's assumptions going in and kind of educating them and allowing them to peel the onion back to kind of understand a few things. And by and large, the challenger archetype amounted to between 40 and 50% of the top performers in those 6,000 people study. So while I would be happy with any one of those as a salesperson in my organization, clearly the challenger stands head and shoulders above everybody else there and should give you an indication of either A, how you want to be perceived or how you want to develop your sales skills, or if you're hiring a sales professional for your particular business, what kinds of attributes you may want to look for. I hope this was a good tip for you, and if you find it helpful, please go to SteveBizBlog for lots of more tips.